Hello. Hey, everybody. Aloha. It is Aloha Friday. Yes, it is. I'm Natalie. Welcome to Life After a Cult, where this is the channel where we talk about cult nonsense. We laugh at all kinds of absurdities around it with the hopes of unbrainwashing ourselves in the process. So, Scientology is panicking. They just filed an appeal in Leah Remini's lawsuit, which is basically their way of saying, we don't like consequences, Your Honor. Meanwhile, over on Shawn Ryan's podcast, a guest compared dirty tricks in politics to leaving Scientology. Yes, she did. She did. Because apparently gaslighting, harassment, and vanishing records aren't just for cults anymore. No, it's not. And stay to the end because I want to know what you think about the power of silence versus reacting. We got a little food for thought that we're going to get into. Welcome, everybody popping in. Thank you so much to the moderators for being here. Members, I see you there. And everybody else in the live chat, I'm so glad you're here. If you are on the replay, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, and jump into the comments. I want to know what you think as well as we go along with all kinds of culty topics today, starting with how Scientology, yes, Scientology is saying they're going to celebrate International Women's Day, which I think is on March 8th, or at least that's when they're doing their thing. Now, I feel like I don't need to tell all of you why this is strange, bizarre, doesn't make sense, and has us going, what? What? The same organization that coerced women and married couples in the Sea Organization who wanted to have children to not have them. And if they happen to be pregnant, to end that pregnancy so it doesn't interfere with their free labor force. The same organization that took senior Scientology executives, including women, and locked them in a double wide trailer, put one of them in a garbage can, poured buckets of water over her while calling her names. Yes, this same organization wants to bring to you a celebration of International Women's Day. Let's look at this. This is a Scientology press release, so you guys know the drill. Gird your loins. This is a Scientology press release. It's straight up propaganda. So they're having their International Women's Day Marathon is a global celebration of inspiring women. Now, yes, International Women's Day is all about that, but I'm not sure what Scientology thinks they're bringing to the table. And apparently what they're bringing to the table is they're basically more Scientology. They're going to show you on their channel, their Scientology channel that they have. They're going to do their Meet a Scientologist, who I'm assuming is going to be a female Scientologist. They're going to do their Voices for Humanity. They're featuring Running for Good, the Fiona Oakes documentary, again about a female. But we all know this is such a public relations tactic for them, so that we look over here and go, oh, look, Scientology is celebrating women. Don't look over here where we have them locked up and abused and absolutely don't support them at all. The other thing I find interesting about these press releases, as it relates to their whole television network, is this part they put at the end. It really gives cult. That's my opinion, but you guys tell me what you think. This is how they often end it. They talk about how the Scientology Network debuted on March 12, 2018, launched by David Miscavige, ecclesiastic leader of the Scientology religion. They always got to do a David Miscavige shout out, how like he launched it, he did it. And for people who were in Scientology for a long time, this would include former members or maybe people under the radar watching this video right now. Do you see how David Miscavige, the current dictator of Scientology, has been positioning himself as source, pushing that nasty L. Ron Hubbard out of the way? This continues to happen. Now, many of you might be thinking, well, what does it matter, right? One new cult leader. Well, this is a direct violation of Scientology's own policy laid out by L. Ron Hubbard, and is also an example of how David Miscavige, again, the current dictator of Scientology, will alter L. Ron Hubbard's policy when it fits him for his narrative. And he's managed to do this for decades now, right? Since like 86 or so. In fact, David Miscavige now has been running Scientology longer than L. Ron Hubbard. So a few things to look at there. I'm going to link all of these articles, these links to videos down below in the description of this one as soon as I'm done. So you guys can check it out and, but again, watch out for the Scientology propaganda. Gird your loins. Be aware. Yeah, Bob, exactly. Actions speak louder than words. And this is something that we're just not really seeing. They're real good at getting these press releases out and whatnot, though. Now, we're going to take a look at something that came across my computer that I found very interesting. There is a guy who writes this column. It's an advice column, kind of like a Dear Abby. Y'all remember? Am I dating myself? One in the chat if you remember Dear Abby. What was the other one? Oh my gosh. Did my menopause brain fog eat it? It was Dear Abby, and there was another one really popular. Okay, Marcy remembers. Dear Abby. Oh gosh, what was the other one? Dear Abby. Anyways, it'll come to me or it'll come to you guys. It's not overall really that important. Always tuck and roll, remembers. Bodes Beaches, Kim Holman. Yeah, Jersey Jan. And Landers, Chuck Ross for the win. Chuck Ross for the W. And Landers. So it was like Dear Abby and Ann Landers column. It kind of really gives that vibe. Well, people write in with questions and then this guy answers it. Well, somebody wrote in talking about how Scientology is basically totally messing up their family. Asking Eric, hurtful email, Scientology at center of rift between sisters. Check this out, you guys. Here's a letter. I'm just going to read it here. Dear Eric, my sister, 85, and I, 80, have been estranged for about 5 years. My niece invited us for Thanksgiving dinner just before this fallout. She was also inviting relatives of her fiance who are active Scientologists, a religion that has a well-documented distaste of homosexuals. I am in a long-term same-sex marriage, and I expressed some queasiness to my sister about being in this company. When she told her daughter, the daughter became hysterical, crying and disinvited us the day before the event. So the day before Thanksgiving, no, y'all can't come. Fearing we would make the group uncomfortable. The group meaning the Scientologists that were now being married into this family. The shrinks always suggest writing a letter explaining all your feelings and then not sending it. I wrote a long email to my sister, but I sent it anyways. I expressed my belief that my sister has always coddled her daughter and should have stuck up for us because this fear was misplaced. I also believed that my sister had lied at this instance, plus other personal observations. Without my permission, she shared it with my niece. All hell broke loose. It's one thing to have differences of opinion that can lead to estrangement, but how can you ever reconcile with someone who you now feel cannot be trusted? I don't see this as an isolated incident. If one of us dies, it might be unfortunate that this was left unresolved, but that's where we are. I guess some things just don't get fixed. Perhaps once anyone dies, sooner or later, does anything matter? What do you all think of this? And he gives a response. I'm going to link it down below so you can see the response. But when you got people, Scientology, oh my gosh, we got to wake up the Office Special Affairs for this because I feel like I need to lecture them. David Miscavige, wake up your people on this Aloha Friday. So we'll do it to music. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Woo! Office of Special Affairs. This is like more mainstream media, everyday people being affected by the cancer that is Scientology. It spreads across society and pulp culture, despite the fact that there really are hardly any Scientologists. We're talking 20 to 30,000, right? On a good day. That I think is being very generous. Yet the impact that Scientology has on people in their lives is seen in so many different ways. This is not good. These are not people writing into publications being like, oh my gosh, Scientology has just changed my life so much. It has brought my family together. Said nobody ever. So this is bad, Office of Special Affairs. Yes, it is one little letter. But I mean, come on, you guys tell me what you think. Tell me in the chat. Tell me in the comments if you're on the replay. This is not good for Scientology. Absolutely not. And by the way, we do have a question of the day. If you have not answered it, jump in the chat. If you're on the replay, jump in the comments. The question of the day is, if Scientology had a customer service hotline, what do you think their hold music would be? I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with. So please do. Please do. All right, now let's go take a look at a clip from Growing Up in Scientology regarding Leah Remini. Scientology finally came through and filed an appeal in her lawsuit. Here's the deal, the squeal. They're late. They're like a month late. I mean, if this was a month late missing your period, you're pregnant, Scientology. I mean, this is late. I don't know how they're getting away with it. I'm not totally sure how law and the justice system works, but apparently over a month late, they filed this thing. It's very damning, and in my opinion, makes them look very bad because of their culty tactics. That should be like a game. You know how there's Hungry Hippo, where you hit it and the hippo all eats things? Hungry Hippo. It could be culty tactics. Somebody make a note. That could be $1 million idea. Probably not, but you know. So we're going to take a look at this clip here. Let me pull this up. They filed their appeal. Let's see what Aaron over at Growing Up in Scientology has to say about it.
Balake. Where is Balake?
Oh, we don't need to watch the beginning. What is up with that? Hold on. Not that I don't love your beginning, Aaron. Why is this not clipped? Hold on. Okay. There it is. Hold on. Pull this over here. There we go. Click this button. Boom. All right, let's listen to this.
Choosing to go forward with filing this appeal is, well, here's the facts as I understand them. Leah Remini filed her lawsuit about 1.5 years ago. Scientology filed an anti-slap motion, basically saying Leah Remini is harassing us by filing a lawsuit against us for things that are constitutionally protected.
First off, I just like even that Scientology thinks Leah Remini is harassing them. If that is not the pot calling the kettle black, I just don't know what is. I can imagine just being a judge who knows anything about Scientology and their history of harassment and intimidation, listening to them claim harassment and intimidation. How do you keep a straight face? How are you not laughing as the judge or people who might be in this courtroom? I would not be able to keep it together. I would just burst out laughing and then be removed from the courtroom, no doubt.
Activity. If you file an anti-slap motion and the judge finds in your favor, the party who filed the lawsuit has to pay your legal fees. Guys, this is why Streets LA, Scientology audit, William Good was able to get $150,000 judgment against Joey the Rocket. You guys who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. It's why William Good was able to get $170,000 judgment against the owner of La Poubelle Bar. Her name is I'm totally blanking on her name. Francoise Coster.
Or as I always like to say, Francois Coster. So it's ridiculous. But watch the video, check it out. I'm gonna link it down below. He goes through the whole thing. And as per usual, Scientology shows up as Scientology. They do not disappoint with their campaign of harassment and intimidation. They're literally being like, she harassed and intimidated us. Why they then put this out trying to harass and intimidate her. I'm telling you. Thank you. Yes, my Aloha Friday shirt. I try to wear something a little, that gives aloha on our Aloha Fridays. Thank you so much for noticing. Suppressive Squirrel says it's one thing to get a judgment, a whole other to collect it. Exactly. Very much so. Defunct says it's akin to claiming you're being bullied because someone called you out for bullying. I mean, we're not surprised, right? Scientology math, Scientology logic, and I say that in quotes for anybody who's driving and cannot see the screen, does not make a lot of sense. It does not. But check it out. It is interesting. Again, I will link that down below. You can find it at Growing Up in Scientology. Now, Scientology would like to take control of your mind. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Natalie, that's nothing new. We know this. We know this. Well, they're doing even more of these seminars. We talked about one the other day where they wanted to get into the bedroom and tell you the best way to have love and relationships. The people who brought us the rehabilitation project force as a way to punish people, teenagers who do nothing but maybe do a little fun touching with their boyfriend or girlfriend, right? Or God forbid that same sex and you kiss a girl and you like it, you get sent there. These same people have very strong opinions about this. And this is no different. And it's from the same, I think it's a mission that's doing this, but this one's in person, y'all. This is March 8th. So in a couple days, it's how to overcome the blocks to your happiness and peace of mind. And one of the reasons I like sharing these things is because it gives insight into the tactics and the buttons that Scientology is trying to use to recruit new members. I think it really sheds a light on that. So how are they going after people here on March 8th? Well, it's a free in-person seminar. And if you have stress, anxiety, grief, failure, self-doubt, anger, lack of confidence, or betrayal, so in other words, I think pretty much all of us, you can find out how blocks to your happiness and peace of mind can be gotten rid of. This is in Forest Lake, California. It's a free seminar. You can find out what keeps your negative emotions triggered. Oh, I don't know. Maybe when I was in Scientology, my negative emotions stayed triggered because they were constantly telling me how horrible I was. God forbid you laugh at something, you make a joke, you get labeled a, joker and degrader. All right, let's see here. What else they got going on? Oh, but here's the thing, though. You can also learn long-lasting methods to clear and calm your mind. Find out about the hidden part of your mind, the reactive mind. And again, here's that push, right? Find out about your reactive mind. L. Ron Hubbard says, you have a reactive mind. And then what happens after you pay tens of thousands, if not even $100,000 to achieve the state of clear? I was creating my own reactive mind and I'm not going to do it anymore. Dude literally told us we had it. Now you're saying we don't? I mean, and now I'm realizing I created it because you told me I had it. So of course I started creating it. This is something I didn't even recognize until much longer after leaving Scientology, because Scientology does not tell you what I just told you is what they call the clear cognition. Many of you, if you're regulars, you know what that is. It's the realization you have when Scientology goes, yes, you are now clear. I'm no longer creating my own reactive mind. I'm not mocking it up anymore. I was the one doing it. I'm not going to do it anymore. Saves you a ton of money if you know that up front. That's basically what they are selling here. And right off the bat, letting people know. But this time there's a complimentary buffet lunch that is included. Come for the food, stay for the cultiness. I don't know. Be interesting. This one's in person. Do we think people will show up? I have so many questions that come up because of this, but whatever. It's Scientology being Scientology. And speaking of Scientology being Scientology, there are so many gems in interviews with Rick Allen Ross. Rick Allen Ross is a cult expert. He has done multiple interventions for Scientologists. He talks about how it is 3 to 4 times harder to have an intervention for a Scientologist than other types of cult members, other type of culty things. There is some gems. Listen to this. And we need to discuss this here.
Something that makes Scientology unique amongst all of these high control groups?
Yes, I think that Scientology has the distinction of being one of the most carefully organized systems of thought reform that I've ever seen, in my opinion. So in other words, L. Ron Hubbard was a kind of savant. He was a genius about one particular thing, in my opinion, which was controlling people, manipulating people. And the way in which he structured Scientology with its overlapping layers of control, people supervising, case review and the auditors and all of the notes taken, and just this incredible structure. It's like a machine that anyone that is processed through it, unless you bail, you're going to be controlled. And I think L. Ron Hubbard's genius was to construct that machine.
This is something that not just cult experts, but other people who've left Scientology have been very consistent about on how L. Ron Hubbard used this to control. But this is a tactic as well that we see in other cults and high control groups. And one of the reasons I love so much talking about Scientology, the human trafficking cult, one, because it pisses them off, right? Even I'm a little petty. I'm very motivated by that. But as a point of education, a jumping off point, because I think that knowledge is power and people will recognize other tactics of high control groups, or even, this can happen in a family even, and it will hopefully make them go, whoa, wait a minute, I actually had this happen. And Rick Allen Ross and other cult experts do talk about how Scientology is probably the worst of the worst when it comes to cults and recovering from those. And as someone who was in this human trafficking cult for 35 years and left with 3 generations of her family, even though I'm 15 years out, there's still things I'm learning that are helping me understand what happened to myself and my family. And this next clip that I'm going to show you, this is from an interview that was on Surviving Scientology. It was about 6 years ago with Bill Franks. Bill Franks is a man who was personally appointed by L. Ron Hubbard to be the executive director international of the cult of Scientology. Okay. And obviously he left, or he wouldn't be doing this interview back then. So we're going to take a look at a clip because he shares something that L. Ron Hubbard shared and said that I actually had never heard. I did not about this. So this was news to me. And when I heard this, every time I hear truth about L. Ron Hubbard, the truth about what his intentions were, it helps me to process my experience. So I wanted to share this with you all because this was news to me. Listen to this.
Where Hubbard basically confided in writing, but then the dispatch was to be destroyed immediately, that there is no overts and withholds, that it's all just, it's his method of controlling people.
And for those who might not know, overt and withhold in Scientology, an overt is a harmful act, or, like a sin, if you think of it that way. And then a withhold is when you withhold it. So when you're keeping these secrets, overt and withhold and all of the things around that are a huge part of Scientology, because we were indoctrinated to believe that that if we had doubts about Scientology, or we were feeling a little critical about David Miscavige or L. Ron Hubbard, that we have overt and withhold. We have crimes. It's us. It's stuff that we did. If L. Ron Hubbard's technology is not soaking in and we are not accepting it whole cloth, it's because we have overt and withhold. There's stuff that we did. And here's this guy sharing that L. Ron Hubbard said there's no such thing. I use this to control people. I mean, we suspected, right? But this is more evidence of that.
Those are his words.
Really? Could you say that again?
That there is no overts and withholds. The context was that I was the director of training on FLAG. Mayo, of course, was the senior CS. And
And FLAG, of course, is in Clearwater. CS is a case supervisor. That's a very, very senior position. And he's referring, I believe, to David Mayo, who was over all of the case supervisors everywhere.
A blown student. We were I believe in Morocco at the time. And a student blowing without a passport is, it's pretty significant. We got him back and then we lost him. And we were trying to show that demonstrate to Hubbard that we had followed the technology 100%, et cetera, et cetera. And we waited and we waited and we waited. This particular night, we had sent all the folders up to his office. It was like 3:30 in the morning, and we got this dispatch. Clara Popham was the messenger, and what I just said is exactly what he said. it was just a shock. And you can imagine how David, the senior CS, overts and withholds are a large part of the technology, at least.
Exactly. A huge part of it. I would say like very core part of it. And again, though we all felt like, I don't know, this seems like this could be a control tactic once we left, or me speaking for myself, right? I was raised in Scientology. So for me, this is all I knew. Oh, of course it's that way. But now you leave and you find out like, oh my God, he lied about that too. I just think there's going to be thing after thing. Power lies to paralyze. David Mayo created the L rundowns. Oh, you know what? I forgot about that, but I remember hearing that. And those are delivered at Flag still today. They are tens of thousands of dollars to do. It's actually kind of, I mean, it's super, super expensive. Crazy stuff. And they claim all these superpowers. Okay, hold on, you guys. I got to grab a call. Life After Occult Hotline. How can I help you?
Oh, good. I caught ya. Natalie, you can stop by getting off the frickin' internet. I miss the days of Nanny Net.
Can you say that again, please?
Hello, Natalie, get off the internet.
All right. Did you mean to call like a tech support hotline or something? How can I help you? This is Life After Occult.
Don't backflash me, Natalie. I know exactly who you are. You and your little suppressive show are one big downtown PR flap.
Oh no. Did my video like hack into your Ring doorbell? I mean, I'm not quite following. It was probably Xenu.
Stop saying his name. You're gonna give us all pneumonia. My future grandbabies might be hanging around as bodiless Satans right now looking for the parents. My grandbabies are supposed to be fourth generation Scientologists, but the mother is probably watching you, getting re-stimulated and asking way too many questions.
You mean they're, I don't know what's it called again? Thinking for themselves.
You think that's hilarious? There's gonna be no Scientology girls, no good Scientology girls left for my precious son. I gave silent birth for nothing.
I mean, it kind of sounds like the pool of eligible young people to marry in Scientology is shrinking.
It's your fault. And all you other out ethics whistleblowers. I was so close. My son's first girlfriend was OT8, and now she's married to a WOG. Last year, she blew the church because of all these exposés you're doing. Now, instead of making Scientology grandbabies, she's in therapy talking about a diagnosis. This is a crisis.
Wow. I'm sorry for your loss.
You should be. I had plans for those babies. I was going to put them in the Sea Org as soon as they could walk.
Wait, so instead of letting them be toddlers, you were going to just toss them into a lifetime contract?
It's called dedication, sweetie. You clearly don't understand. Back in my day, we were signing billion-year contracts before we even knew how to spell, okay?
Right. And now half your generation has left the Sea Org and is out there living their best life, right? Don't you want that too? Them to be out there and live their best life?
No. Stop confusing me with your anti-Scientology rhetoric. This is suppression. I'm not going to stand for it.
Well, ma'am, it sounds like you might need a locational assist, might help with all the contradictions happening here, or maybe just get some auditing.
I wouldn't take a locational from you if you were the last human alive on T-Jack, okay? I'm reporting you to ethics. I'm writing a things that shouldn't be report, a knowledge report, a job endangerment report, and an annoyance report on you.
Oh, no, not ethics. I better start packing my bags for the RPF now.
Oh, you joke, but when Scientology clears the planet, you're going to be really sorry.
Sure. Right after they finish taking over that one strip mall in Clearwater.
That is a religious mecca. Also, that's where I get my nails done.
Right. Well, I'd love to stay and chat, but I need to go ruin more multi-generational cult legacies. Thank you for calling.
Have fun with your pneumonia. Stay away from my future grandbabies.
Have a cult-free day. Wow. You know, I take a lot of abuse, you guys, sometimes for being here and speaking the truth. Ooh, some people get really upset when you're out there exposing Scientology. Yes, Janet burned Liz Gill. It's hilarious. And of course, that was the one, the only Liz Gale. Props for Liz Gale. Give it up in the chat, you guys. If you're on the replay, jump in those comments. I just cannot with that character. It's too much. It's fabulous. Stasia, thank you both for this lovely gem. You are welcome. Thank you all for being here. You never know what you're going to get. I'm so glad that we installed the Life After a Cult hotline, because you just never know what you're going to get. Liz is hysterically funny. I completely agree with you, Ruth. All right. Speaking of Clearwater there in that strip mall that they can't manage to clear, let's take a look at, there's a guy named Tom DNYC who has a YouTube video, and he did a video called How Clearwater Became Scientology's Florida Headquarters. And we're going to look at a little clip from this. Check it out.
This is no joke either. Like the way they basically smeared these people. For example, Gabriel Casares, the actual mayor, one of the things they did to him was they tried to sabotage his Congress run. He ran for Congress. They sabotaged his Congress run. They even, this is wild, they even staged a hit and run while he was in DC. They had his driver pretend to carry out a hit and run on another person hired by Scientology. And then they were going to pin it on Casares. And this is all from the records in that Operation Snow White document seizure. By the way, 11 people were actually indicted for that, including Mary Sue Hubbard, who was L. Ron Hubbard's wife. She was the head of the Guardian Office, and she was actually indicted and charged and convicted for what they did with Operation Snow White, which spanned for years. They basically sent people to get jobs and work at government agencies and law firms and would make photocopies, take pictures, steal documents from these places, all to protect the church. This is no joke either. Like,
Yes, the city of Clearwater. What a thing to be known for. Especially when you have a beautiful beach, right? You've got some other things going on, but no, you become known for being the home to the cult of Scientology. And not only that, a long history, well-known, well-documented, again, of what? Intimidation tactics, all of the things, all of the culty nonsense. And now here is another content creator doing content about it and getting the word out. I don't know, if I were the city of Clearwater, I'd want to do something about that, but that's just me. If it were my community. Nocturne says, I think you're a beautiful person. I really do. Ah, thank you. I appreciate that. Hit that like and subscribe. Love that. I'm going to link it down below. You guys should check out the whole video. It's not very long, but he goes into some amazing history of Scientology in Clearwater. There are a lot of good gems in it. So give that one a listen. Now we're going to take a quick look at a little bit of Tom Cruise news. Last week, I think it was, we were talking about how Tom Cruise went out to dinner with this very young lady. And I was like, oh no, it's fine. They're just talking business. This is about the movie. She's mark safe from Tom Cruise. And now I'm like, is she? Is she? Because there is this article out saying something else. Source say screen action stud. Okay, come on. Screen action stud. Tom Cruise has set his sights on a new Mission Impossible, wooing actress Ana de Armas into becoming his next leading lady. The Superstar 62 has apparently been wining and dining the 36-year-old Latin Spitfire in London while dangling choice movie projects. But it's all put him on a collision course with her current love. So she's got a love interest. Guess who it is? It is the stepson of the president of Cuba. That is who she's in a relationship with. So this thing goes on to talk about how, you know, they had this, what they're claiming are romantic dinners with maybe some googly eyes. I think it was even on Valentine's Day. Could be total BS. I don't know. Seems, you know, like, I don't think the girl being in a relationship with the son of the president of Cuba would stop Tom Cruise. It's interesting, though. Didn't he last date a woman who was Russian, and was it her ex that was like a Russian oligarch, brain fog. Somebody tell me. Anyways, you know what I mean. And now allegedly, maybe not. It's the, partner of the president of Cuba's son. I just feel like Tom Cruise, in his pursuit of trying to find more wives, and trying to find more wives, create situations. You know what I'm saying? This could be an international incident, right? We don't want to be like beefing with Cuba. And now here's Tom Cruise, oligarch. Thank you, Cooler by the Lake. I appreciate that. Yes, thank you, Nancy. And here he is now, like, is he doing this again? I don't know. I just don't get it. Bad Thayton says, I marked myself safe from Tom Cruise. Or was that the like button? Exactly. When you hit the like button and subscribe, you automatically mark yourself safe from Tom Cruise. I highly suggest it. I myself am marked safe from Tom Cruise. I will link it down below if you have any interest in pursuing that story and reading the rest of it. In the meantime, Becky says, stud. Oh, come on. I know. I mean, to each his own, right? Somebody's frog is somebody else's prince. So maybe, I don't know. There's a type out there, obviously, that would be into somebody like Tom Cruise. It's just not me. Yeah, Jesse, I agree. Tom better watch himself or he might get himself assassinated. It's just weird. You go from, again, the chick who had the ties to the Russian oligarch, and then, this girl who's dating the son of the president of Cuba. I don't know. I just look back in my time in Scientology at the petty little things that Sea Organization members would get in trouble for, or even Scientologists in their dating life. Even though L. Ron Hubbard said not to get involved in the psychodynamic activities of Scientologists unless it was impeding their Scientology progress. So they got everything in the world to say about who you're dating, what you're doing, me taking a strip fitness class, right? They got everything to say about that. But let's not talk about the SA. Let's not talk about those things we're covering up where we sent people out of town, out of the country to get away with it. But let's get all up in your business about this stuff. Meanwhile, though, let Tom Cruise create international incidents by, connecting with women who you're like, oh, I don't know, is that a good idea? Like, I don't know, that could create a problem. But of course, Scientology has nothing to say about that. And let's be honest, I think, this is my opinion, I suspect that, my opinion, not saying this happened, this is what I imagine. I feel like David Miscavige was like, Tom, you got to stay away from Scientologists. No more female Scientologists. Okay, we can't lose any more. We've lost enough members. We've had to declare multiple women suppressive people after you dated or married them. And we're shrinking. We can't do this anymore. That's what I think happened. And now he's like back to trying to find chicks in the whole acting community and find a date. Poor Tom Cruise. Maybe he could meet somebody when he's out protesting tonight in Clearwater. It is Friday. So you know what that means. The Clearwater crew is going to be out protesting, live streaming outside Scientology in Clearwater. Not only will Tom Cruise be there, but he will have a guest with him as well. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It has become my Friday night routine. Make some snacks, settle in. Watch the crew, see what's happening, watch new characters spawn. I mean, it's entertaining. It's educational and it's entertaining. Sandy McKenna says, Tom Cruise does his own stunts, including jumping on Oprah's couch and dodging questions about Scientology. He really does. He really does. Antics of a Mama Squirrel's going to be there. She's going to be modding for Dusty. That's fabulous. So Dusty will be there. Bad Thayton says he brought them in through, right? Katie Holmes wasn't a Scientologist previously that I'm aware of. Exactly. He got her into Scientology. And then she smartly ran away. Abigail says, yes, I saw the post on Aaron's channel earlier this week. David Miscavige will be joining Tom and the rest of the Florida crew. It's going to be fun. All right, where am I at? Okay, now let's talk about this guest on Shawn Ryan. Now, interesting video. So she has worked in the political arena. She's been a campaign manager. And I don't know a lot about the politics in the story because, I've been kind of just off doing my own thing. But apparently she was involved in like leaking to the media saying that, Biden is too old to run. And she was kind of like trying to whistleblow about that. And she talks about what happened as a result of that. Listen to this here. Let's pull this up. Her name is Linda Lee.
What did you start leaking to
The Biden couldn't run again.
Did you give specific examples?
They didn't. I
They
think
didn't
if I did, it would identify me. And at that point I wasn't. It's really hard to, it's like coming out of a cult. You just can't. It's really hard. It's like coming out of the Church of Scientology. They will do everything to discredit you, disown you, to destroy you.
Yeah. Everything to discredit you, to destroy you. Now she's speaking of her own experience, but she's comparing it to Scientology. Office of Special Affairs. This is what we call really bad. Really bad. Shawn Ryan has many subscribers. It is a huge platform. And here's somebody being like, yeah, it was about as bad as it can get. I mean, it was like leaving Scientology. Like they go after you. So apparently cult tactics aren't just a cult thing. These things happen in the political arena and elsewhere, which honestly, I have come to learn more about that, especially in my time on YouTube, that, whoa, this is not something limited to cults. This type of behavior is kind of all over the place, which is why I like to talk about it so we can be aware about it and we cannot fall into that trap. But I could not believe she said that. Exactly, George Massey. Word is spreading. Scientology is a cult. It's being used as examples in all the worst ways because that's the truth. That's right, Abigail. That's terrible for Scientology. Awesome for the outside. I agree. I completely agree with that. Now, let's take a look. There is someone new here on YouTube, a former Scientologist who is sharing her story. I watched her video. I'm going to link it down below. Go ahead and give her a subscribe and show her some love because, as we all know, when you first come out, especially, it is, not the easiest thing to share your story. And I would love to see her get all kinds of fantastic support. I will link this down below. Let's take a look at a clip. This video is called I Am Coming Out About Scientology. Ezra Oliver is the name of the channel. Let's give this a listen.
I don't think there's any information in the world that should be kept a secret the way that Scientology wants to keep their religion a secret from you and from its own members. A lot of people don't know this, but at this current moment in time, there are more Scientologists who were born there than who joined voluntarily. And there are more independent Scientologists and ex-Scientologists than there are current Scientologists as well. And the way that people are treated in Scientology is absolutely horrible. And they are being conditioned to accept it by L. Ron Hubbard's teachings. And I just won't stand for it anymore. I won't stand for anyone being treated the way I was treated. And I would like to tell you about that.
I will link it down below so you can see the video and hear her story. Bravo. I love this. Antic of a Mama Squirrel subbed. Abigail's already subbed. Yeah, I subbed too. Nancy's dropping a link in the chat. And again, I will link it down below afterwards. It takes so much to publicly share your story like that. And I appreciate it. I appreciate that she's doing that. And I cannot wait to learn more as well. I also got in her comments and was like, girl, hit me up. I would like to talk to you. I want to learn more about this. Email me, Natalie@lifeafteracult.com. All right. Now we are going to look at something. We got a little bit of some food for thought here. And then we're going to look at some of your answers to today's question of the day. But first, let's take a look here at a clip that this is from a video called Stay Silent. Everything will come to you naturally. Let's just look at a clip and then we are going to discuss. I have thoughts on this.
But what if the opposite were true? What if strength wasn't found in how much we say, but in what we choose not to say? What if real power came from resisting the urge to react, from choosing silence when emotions run high, and from allowing patience, discipline, and emotional control to shape our decisions. It takes no strength to react impulsively. Anyone can do that. When something upsets us, when we feel disrespected, when we face uncertainty, the natural instinct is to respond immediately, to defend ourselves, to argue, to assert our position. But in that moment of emotional reaction, we give away our power. Consider a great leader in a crisis. Do they panic? Do they lash out? No. They pause, they assess, they take a breath before speaking. That silence isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of mastery.
It's very interesting. I will link this down below. Very eye-opening and talking about reacting. And we know that with Scientology, there's all kinds of bull baiting and button pushing going on. And this is something that Scientology and internet trolls have in common. They both thrive on making people lose their cool. Ever wonder why high control groups, shady gurus, and online keyboard warriors who are, now I don't mean all you good people fighting the good fight, I'm talking trolls, get so loud and aggressive because your reaction equals their power. Let's talk about taking that power back. Now, Scientology style, but in the exact opposite way. This is so applicable to Scientology, who doesn't want you to stop and think. They want you to attack first, ask 0 questions later. That's why they literally have their policy, never defend, always attack. They do that, right? It's just like attack. If you're a Scientologist and someone's saying, hey, I don't understand, the belief about Xenu and all that, there's not a calm conversation that ensues. It's disconnection or usually an attack. Why are you asking about that? And that is a big Scientology rule. If somebody asks a normal question like, hey, how does your church, how much does your church cost? How much are your services? Is it as much of a Malibu mansion? Because we've heard that. And a well-trained Scientologist is expected to respond with, how dare you? You must be a criminal. What are your crimes? It's not a conversation. It's another attack. It's reactionary. So instead of considering that, maybe people who shouldn't have to refinance their house, maybe people shouldn't have to refinance their house in order to reach spiritual enlightenment. That doesn't occur to them. It's just attack. They don't stop and actually hear and process that request. It's part of the mind control. And it's part of the reason why Scientology has people do this is because there's no defense to it. These things are true. That Scientologist has been brainwashed to believe that you got to keep these blinders on and you can't actually answer these questions. You see it too with other cults and even online cult leaders who love to bait people into reacting. They'll post something ridiculous like, anyone who questions me is obviously a suppressive person and a lizard. And then people are like, what are you talking about? That's not how facts works. Are you okay? Right? There's just it's kind of like rage baiting. And that is what they want because attention equals power. So when we give that behavior attention, it gives it more power. It's the same with Scientology, but it also applies to online trolls or in your day-to-day life even, right? It's kind of like, can you be goaded into a reaction? You can tell when somebody really wants to pick a fight versus, hey, can we have a conversation about that? And the moment you stop feeding them, they shrivel up, lose relevance, and like a raisin in the sun will eventually disappear if you're not feeding it. It's bull baiting. And in Scientology, that is a technique that is taught to children. You are raised with that. Push buttons until they don't react. And you shouldn't have any buttons. So they're not trying to teach you to pause and process and reply in a way that's rational. They indoctrinate you into boom, attack, attack, attack. Well, what ends up happening when you grow up like that? Well, you become a hammer and everything is a nail. That's what ends up happening. And same thing with other cults, high control groups, internet trolls. It's all about trolling you to get you to give that reaction. Scientology actually trains people to sit there while someone hurls insults at them. I mean, think about that. Think about that. That's what bull baiting is. Your mom never loved you. See if you get a reaction or not. If you do, you have to say it over and over and over again until they don't react. You have the personality of an expired sponge. Oh, did you laugh? Did you get mad? Did you get irritated? Was it visible? Flunk. That will be said to you over and over again till you don't relax. I mean, you don't react to it. You look like someone who claps when planes land. I don't know why that, I don't know why I think that's funny. You know, when I guess if something happened and the plane lands and then it's worthy of an applause. But once in a while, there's someone on a plane who seems to want to do it every time. And if you react to that, you fail. So they'll push your buttons, push your buttons. We don't learn in Scientology any real emotional control or discipline in that way. Scientology is not known for raising people who, you know, have emotional intelligence. That's something many of us did not learn until we left Scientology. But the interesting thing to me is we see this across other high control groups too, doing the same thing. So real self-discipline isn't about suppressing emotion for someone else's benefit. It's about choosing where to place your energy for your power. What are you going to give attention to? Scientology's harassment tactics, fair game, all of those, they're specifically designed to provoke people into losing their cool. So you react, you don't respond. They stalk ex-members. They smear them online. They send people fake pizzas, which is just cruel, right? Unless you're actually getting real pizza. Who wants an empty pizza box? They do it because they want one thing. They want a public meltdown. They need people to explode so they can look and say, see, look how crazy they are. This has been a Scientology tactic from day one. And I think this video has a lot of applicable information and even some tools for not falling into that trap, not just with Scientology, but any high control group, because high control groups hate when people take a step back and start thinking for themselves. That's why Scientology keeps members constantly busy. Another course, another donation, another lecture. The last thing they want is for someone to sit in silence and go, wait a second. Why am I giving Tom Cruise my life savings? There's no time for that thinking. And I realized recently that I was doing that to a degree, not with Scientology, but making sure that I give myself time to contemplate, to think about things, not just be so busy all the time that I'm overwhelmed and I don't have the time and the space to really look at something, take a step back and decide, do I want to put my energy into that? Do I want more of that? Because that's what we give power to when we give those things energy versus what we actually want and we're going for. The loudest person in the room doesn't mean you're the strongest person in the room, right? Otherwise, every toddler would be a world leader. Just because you're throwing a fit doesn't mean you should get that attention. Now, there's a time and a place, right, for outrage. And when we share these stories of abuse, whether it's in Scientology or other cults, where that is a very natural reaction, and that is how people should react in that way. But I'm talking more about how we respond to comments or actions that are more troll actions or Scientology trying to push your buttons to get you react so that you no longer have the power. Rachel, they steal the donuts. They do. That you don't have that power anymore to just kind of be in your own space. So tell me what you guys think about that. I'm going to link the video down below, and I am curious because I see this happening so much. Queen of Karma, critical thinking is not supported. Exactly. They actually try to undo it. They don't want you critically thinking at all. That's a huge part of why they keep you in a state of fight or flight. And this has become so real to me, especially being on the internet now, because I'm seeing, wow, this isn't just a Scientology thing. This applies in other areas as well, right? Whether it's a high control group or somebody just pushing your buttons. Could be somebody at work who's always jabbing at you. Well, you might just decide that you don't want to give them the reaction they're trying to get anymore, because that gives them power. James Steele, I hear Tom Cruise and David Miscavige's favorite song to sing together at karaoke is karaoke night is Barbie Girl. Well, that takes us to our question of the day, which is, if Scientology had a customer service hotline, what do you think their hold music would be? Northern Girl says, Spaceman Came Traveling by Chris DeBurr. I'll have to check that out. I don't know that song. Mama Opal says, it would not be Cocaine by Eric Clapton. Abigail says, a Scientology song. Yeah, I would imagine. I feel like they've done that too. Bina says, Cool Change by Little River Band. Now that Now that my life is so prearranged, it's time for a cool change. Nutmeg, if Scientology had hold music, it would be hilarious if they used that song that Natalie and Lana made. Oh my gosh, we are the cavalry. Oh, that's so embarrassing. So embarrassing. I'll have to play that for you guys again. Me and Taz says REM, it's the end of the world. That makes sense. Can you imagine being hold for Scientology? Hold for David Miscavige. It's the end of the world as we know it. Very fitting. Stasia says, gimme, gimme, gimme. Cats, bats, and flowers. Elton John's Rocket Man. I could see that too. Totally, totally. Hey, you know what? We have something important. Speaking of music, it's Nancy's birthday today. We got to break into our songs with our own happy birthday. Oh, it's not? Okay, I misunderstood. Nancy popped up on her. She's like, no, it's not my birthday today. All right, all right. Was it somebody else's birthday? Because it says whose birthday. Oh, you're just asking people whose birthday. Okay, good. Okay, moving on, moving on. Nutmeg says, if Scientology had hold music, it would be The Police, I'll Be Watching You. I would love that so much. If Scientology had hold music, it would be Take the Money and Run by the Steve Miller Band, the theme song of every former high-ranking Scientologist who made it out. If Scientology had hold music, it would be Money. That's what I want. Good one, Defunct. If Scientology had hold music, it would be Everything I Own. If Scientology had hold music, it would be These Boots Are Made for Walking. Arkansas Flamingo says it would be Money, 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 Money. You know it would be. You know it would be. That would be on the list. Paralyzed to Paralyze. Someone's Watching Me by Rockwell and Superstition by Stevie Wonder. Oh, those are two good ones. I wish they did it. Cats Hate Cult says, oh, it'd be Jimmy Buffett, Volcano. Linda Lou says it'd be Money by Pink Floyd. Defunct. That's a good one. Every breath you take, every move you make, I'll be watching you. That sounds very, very accurate. Queen of Karma says, well, of course, if Scientology had hold music, it would be We Stand Tall on repeat. I feel like this was on repeat. It could be, did I dream it? Do I remember Calling Flag and they had their Scientology music? And that's a Scientology song. We stand tall. Sweet Goth says, don't stop believing. That would be a good one for Scientology hold music. Now, Sandy McKenna says, picture this. The hold music suddenly stops and a robotic voice says, congratulations, you've reached operating Thetan level 8. Your bank account has now been cleared. So true. Kayla Brennan says, my answer to the question of the day is Somebody's Watching Me by Rockwell. I think that one's kind of got most of the vote so far, including ABBA's Money, Money, Money. Deanna Ross even said, yeah, Money, Money, Money. That's right, by ABBA. Sweet Elizabeth says, Baby Shark. How torturous would that be? Can you imagine you call Scientology? Hold for David Miscavige. Baby shark, do, 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 baby shark. That'd be hilarious. Even Becky says that. It will annoy you and you'll hang up so you don't have to listen to it, but you'll now have it stuck in your head all day. That would be Scientology to give you a really good earworm. Antics of a Mama Squirrel says, it would be the creepy Therium music in sci-fi movies. Ooh, I could see that. Whoops, skipped one there. Rochelle says, The Pretender by Foo Fighters. Oh, good one. Not Today says it would be Highway to Hell. It should be. Oh, and Sandy McKenna seconds that as well. Oh, Rochelle, good one. If Scientology had hold music, it would be Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. Kayla Brennan, this is a great one. The final countdown. The final countdown. Fish Mom, of course, We Stand Tall. Another vote for that. Rochelle says, Would I Lie to You by the Eurythmics? Kathy Scogan says, The Star Wars theme. Ruth Ann says, Cult of Scientology hold music would be the movie Jaws theme song. Be great. That would be good. James Steele says, All Out to Get You by James, the band, not me. Rochelle says, Little Lies by Fleetwood Mac. That's a good one. Susan Goog, Grandma, the theme to the Outer Limits TV show. I could see that. Kayla Brendan again, End of the Road. I wish we could make these into a playlist and give it to Scientology and go, here's a playlist for your hold music. Sandy McKenna says, a Tom Cruise recording randomly plays, Show me the money. They should do it. Hunter Bay says, You are my sunshine. Thank you for calling. You brighten my day. The Sciento just got to talk to a never-end. Great Gig in the Sky says it's got to be AC/DC. Dirty Deeds done dirt cheap. That'd be a good one. Dirty Deeds done dirt cheap. Kayla says Help by the Beatles. Another vote for Somebody's Watching Me. James Steele says The Cult Song by Shannon and the Clams. I don't know that one, but I would like to hear it. Twyla says Stop in the Name of Love. Marcy says, I Got My Eyes on You by Peter Frampton. Oh, Jesse, good one. Rumors by Bobby Brown. Northern Girl says the theme song from Third Rock from the Sun. The X-Files theme song. Should I stay or should I go? See Me, Feel Me by The Who. Run Like Hell. You Could Start a Cult. Oh my gosh, is there even a song? James Steele, you know some very different music. Kayla Brennan. Hold On by Wilson Phillips. Can you imagine? You're all distraught because Scientology just debited your account for stuff you didn't approve. And you're sitting there wanting to get your money back. And it's Hold On for One More Day. And SPTV fan says Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka. Oh yeah, come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. That's for sure. Bob says Lollipop Kids. Cheryl says ABBA's Money, Money, Money. That is a popular one. It really is. Oh, Sandy McKenna. I'm all about the Sound of Silence. Yes, I could see that too. And I know Smooth Operator. Yes. More for Somebody Who's Watching You. Northern Girl says, Take a Chance on Me. You guys are so creative and amazing. These are absolutely fantastic. It would be a hilarious, absolutely hilarious theme song, including the Twilight Zone theme song. I agree with that completely. This is fantastic. That's what I got for you today. Hit that like and subscribe. And most of all, I hope you all get out and have an amazing cult-free day.